Like pretty much every game, WutheringWaves has NPCs. They're to give funny dialogue, fill the world, or give quests. Today, we're going to be talking about the different kinds of shop and service NPCs in the city of Jinsho. There's a total of 7 NPCs and services, 8 if you include Yan, and all of them give different kinds of items that can help you progress, or even get, dare I say, free wishes. First up is Synthesize, a service that lets you convert your lower level mats into higher level ones. Honestly, in my opinion, you could also call this an NPC with how cute the startup screen is. There's 3 categories in total: potion making, constructing, and purification. The one you most likely use the most is purification. Selecting a material lets you convert it into a higher level variation of it. There's also a chance one of your characters can help you with synthesis of a certain material, giving you a % chance of receiving more rewards. The second is the weapon forger Uncle Wei. Instead of letting you forge weapons with him though, he instead sells lower quality ones. He doesn't only sell that though, also selling weapon Ascension materials. This is especially good when you're out of stamina and need a few more materials to level your weapon. The materials do have a cap, though I never fully bought it out, so I'm not quite sure if it resets every few days like the rest of them, or is gone forever. Right behind him is the crafting service. Also being operated with the cutest robot alive, this one actually lets you craft weapons. Only being able to craft 3 and 4 star weapons, it usually needs ores you find around the world and standard weapon molds obtained from beating weekly bosses. A bit further down from that is Macha's grocery shop, probably being the most hated NPC in WuA right now. Selling all kinds of groceries, from meat to milk and soup bases, I feel like the most triggerable word here right now is flour. Due to probably not expecting it, tons of players blew their entire funds with this cash-hungry man, as weirdly enough, he just seems to have infinite stock of most things. You can go ahead and just throw your entire wallet at him and end up with 1,000 bags of flour you'll never need. Personally, I feel like there should be a cap, even though most people should be informed by now that this guy is a little bit of a scammer. While Maha only sells food items, I think it's still easier to buy some things rather than to farm them, like meat, especially if you feed the stray animals regularly. Conveniently, right around the corner is Panhua's kitchen. Run by Panhua, you actually find out about this place from Shixia right in chapter 2 of the story. Being the only restaurant in the city, it seems, you can buy all sorts of stuff from her. Pre-made food is probably your way to go purchase for her if you just want quick buffing food. However, if you want to make these yourself to potentially get special foods, you can also buy the recipe from her for how much? I guess these are a family secret or something. Once bought, the recipe is automatically added to cooking. I'm not counting this as a service exclusive to Jinsho, as you can find cooking pots all over, especially near enemy camps. But right behind her is the restaurant stove that you're free to use whenever. The cooking interface has no minigame, being able to just select whatever you want to cook and cook it. It does, however, have a mastery system, going up the more you make dishes. Each mastery gives you 50 Asterite, materials, and new recipes. So, if you find yourself short on Asterite, but have an absolute shell bank, you can just cook a few quick dishes. In my opinion, the food bar and wither cake are the easiest to start off on, all materials being able to be bought from Macha. That said, the higher rarity dish you make, the more proficiency XP you will receive. The foods also have special variants. Much like synthesis, characters can help you with cooking, making their own variations of meals, which often have a different image, description, and actual special buffs. For example, Jian's rendition of the Jinsho stew, which everyone apparently outside of the military hates, gives 10% attack and 8% crit rate boost, while the normal one just gives 8% attack and 6% crit rate. So, once you're done with easy to cook dishes, I'd recommend making the character renditions to get food with extra buffs. Going from the middle or top of Jinsho, you can fly down to a lower level underneath the city, which leads us to our next 2 NPCs. First up is the one you can actually get wishes from, Though standard wishes, Gansula runs the Pioneer Association Souvenir store. In her store, you can buy different kinds of level up mats, character ascension mats, recipes, wishes, and more. Though compared to the money-hungry Maha, I will never let this go, Gansula actually wants wood textured shards. You might have seen these in your inventory, but it doesn't really tell you where to use it. Sure, the text says souvenir store, but who's really gonna read all that? These shards are obtainable from chests only. The store doesn't seem to reset, weirdly enough, but I can imagine if we're getting new regions in the future, a different shop might want them. Further down, literally at the bottom of Jinqiu, is Coco, who's the manager of the Shifeng Pharmacy. You would imagine the pharmacy would only sell healing materials. But if you didn't know, Coco actually sells all kinds of character ascension flowers. She always has a stock of 15 character ascension flowers and 30 normal flowers. As I mentioned earlier, and this is especially important with Coco, sometimes it's better to buy than to collect, especially when it comes to flowers. Sometimes they can just be too hard to find. And while inflation seems to have hit Jinqiu hard, I'm sure you can afford it if you're too lazy to go flower hunting. Next up is Chenpi, who I've talked about in my last video. Chenpi is an NPC that takes Sonan's caskets, so glowing collectibles in the world, and exchanges them for Asterite, wishes, constellations, and materials. The most notable thing about this NPC though isn't really him, but his pet robot, who I would absolutely die for. This adorable little thing is actually the one doing all the work. It eats your Sonan's caskets while doing a little dancey dance. I mean, what do you want more? He's truly the goat of these two. Lastly, we have the Pioneer Association, also a service I've mentioned before where you receive tokens for how much exploration you've done. You can exchange these tokens for more rewards as well as tools that help you with exploration, like the loot mapper and temporary waypoints. Honorary mentions go to the NPCs over at Tiger's Mall Mine. The cook there sells the same things as Panhua, and the pharmacist sells you bugs instead of flowers. The most notable one here is probably Shilung, a merchant in the Tiger's Mall Mine that sells materials in exchange for ore. You might ask yourself why I'm saying he's the only notable one. I mean, you can just craft weapons somewhere else, right? Instead of buying them. Well, after completing the 2 quests at the Tiger's Mall Mine, the merchant sells you a 4-star Originite weapon selector for 80 Lampilumen ore found around the mine. And that's pretty much it. As you can tell, the shops in Wuwa are all quite useful, unexpectedly selling character and weapon ascension mats and even standard wishes. Unfortunately, even after talking to almost every NPC in Jinqiu, I couldn't find any hidden shops. Usually, or at least in the open world games I've played, besides marked shops, there's random NPCs selling random things or giving out freebies. While some NPCs give out a small amount of Asterite after completing a tiny quest, I have not seen any complete freebies outside of the main story, which I guess kind of makes sense in a post-apocalyptic world. I think everyone can think of this what they want, whether or not random NPCs selling mostly base stuff is needed or just nice for filling the world a tad. Either way, I hope this helped you find the right NPCs more easily, and I hope you enjoyed. Have a nice day, and bye-bye.